Good afternoon, everybody. Well, it's good evening now because it's after 5 o'clock, but I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. Hope you had a wonderful day. And I wanted to make sure that I got this video up prior to the close of this evening. Excuse the dog, she's in the background eating on something. But I wanted to make sure I came to you to provide you with this information. There will not be a lecture on Thursday in class. Your lecture will be online as you are viewing it right now. And your quiz for chapters, let's see, 8 and 9 will be online as well. And I will make it available at any testing center that TCC has. So that will be Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, or Norfolk campus. You will need to take it that day. So make sure whatever testing center that you're going to, you know what the hours are, what time you would need to sign in. And I would suggest that you give yourself at least 2 hours prior to whenever the testing center is supposed to close so that you'll have an ample amount of time. The quiz that you'll have will be timed, so you will not be allowed to exceed the time limit that has been set for the quiz. In addition to that, I have posted some links that I want to make sure that you access and you review. Some of them have to do with some of the neoplasms that we talked about. Some of them are actually for the next chapters that we're going to be reviewing. So remember, your quiz this week is on chapter 7, neoplasms. So I would suggest looking at those videos that are pertaining to neoplasms, or chapter 7 first, and then going back to the blood diseases and the blood disorders. Remember, you also have a case study that's up for the blood diseases and blood disorders as well. So just kind of go through, and when you're looking, make sure you look on your navigation bar. You click on video lectures, and then I think under the video lectures tab, it has supplements to to lecture or what have you. Click on that link, and it will take you to the additional information that I have provided for the chapters. A few things that I want to make sure that you focus on for chapter 7, because that is your quiz that is coming up on Thursday. Remember, on Thursday, you'll take the quiz at any testing center location, and your lecture will be online. So we don't actually meet in class this week. A few things. General information, I think, is pretty self-explanatory when we went over that. We did talk a little bit about making sure that you know the 4 categories of tissues, because that's going to be very important in regard to trying to determine where the neoplasm originated. Because the neoplasms, as long as they have not exacerbated to the point where it's unable to be identified or differentiated as to where the neoplasm originated, they will originate from one of the 4 tissue types. And we've identified those in class. I think I wrote them down. We've talked about them before. And of course, we talked about them in anatomy. So that would be your epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous. Many of them will go ahead and lend themselves to what category they belong to. I think in class we talked about the fact that rhabdomyosarcoma, even though you might not know that rhabdo has to do with the color being red, you would know that in the middle, the root word myo means muscle. So that should lead you to that particular category of tissue. And then also we talked about the fact that there are a couple of key things that can lead you to identify whether or not the tissue is benign or malignant. Benign tissues typically have the suffix of oma, O-M-A, but we did identify those that do not fall in the norm. Please make sure you review those that do not. For example, and I'll just give you one right now, melanoma, which typically, because of the oma, would seem like it would fall under the category of a benign neoplasm, Melanoma is skin cancer, and skin cancer we know is definitely malignant. Please refer to your notes to the others that are categorized as malignant neoplasms, even though they end in oma. And then we also identified the carcinomas and the sarcomas as being malignant neoplasms. So, as you prepare for this quiz, because I do believe Chapter 7 can be one of a bit of difficulty for students just because of the 4 tissue categories and trying to categorize the neoplasms according to the tissues in which they arise. I would once again just advise you to possibly separate them first according to whether they are considered benign, and we had the characteristics of those that are benign. And if you look in the PowerPoint presentation, not the blue one, but the other one that I had that gives you the chart, that chart right there that differentiates them in between the characteristics for benign, characteristics for malignant. I think that will really help you. Whether or not they grow slowly or if they're well encapsulated, do they create secondary foci as the malignant neoplasms do? Do they reoccur once they have been removed? Review those different characteristics to help you discern whether or not the neoplasm would be categorized as benign or malignant. Once you have been able to do that, then let the rest of the name of the neoplasm tell you what tissue type it's actually affecting. I think we looked at the lipoma, and the lipoma, actually, even though we talked about adipose tissue, I think we know that lipids are fats. So looking at the prefix of lipoma, it's telling me it's a neoplasm, it's benign, but it's that of a lipid, and lipids are also fats. So that would fall under the category of connective tissue. So I can't emphasize enough how much I want you to look at it from the stance of whether it's benign or malignant, and then what tissue it originates from. There will be questions on your quiz that are specifically geared to whether or not it's benign, malignant, and then what category of tissue it falls in. So whatever your mechanism of study, please make sure that somehow you incorporate the fact that you need to be able to differentiate the malignancy of it, whether it's benign or malignant, and then what tissue it arises from. Okay, as I go on and I look through the PowerPoint presentations that have been provided for you, that's pretty much all they go over. I do have the various links that we did not look at in class, but I would hope that you click on them just so that you can see the differences between the benign neoplasms and the malignant neoplasms. It's very easy to see how the benign neoplasms could potentially be removed and maybe not reoccur. The malignant neoplasms, you can see, that was a child, sorry. You can see how they'll metastasize, and it would be very difficult to try to remove all of it. Even though there are several attempts that have been made in the past with different procedures and that I'm certain are still made with malignant neoplasms, sometimes it's just hard to determine whether or not that neoplasm has traveled to other locations within the person and have created that secondary foci or that secondary location where it pretty much sets up shop, and then it starts the entire process all over again. One of the links that I have posted for you to view is, I believe it's called What is Cancer? And it talks about how cancer begins and how it regenerates, and then it begins to move throughout the organism. So please make sure you take the time to look at the different links that I have posted in regard to the neoplasms as well as the blood diseases. I actually posted a link to a video It's a movie. It was an HBO movie. I saw it several years ago, and it's very, very good. I just cannot explain to you how it really piqued my interest in regard to being an instructor, a professor of the information that I provide all of you. When I looked at it, and you'll see the link to it, it's talking about tetralogy of Fallot, which is sometimes called the blue baby syndrome. And this is moving into the next chapters, but I know that you are going to be working on your case studies that has been posted in regard to the blood disorders or diseases. And this is a wonderful, wonderful movie that explains how an African American, he started as a lab technician, actually became one of the premier scientists in regard to helping to perform a heart not a transplant, but creating the mechanisms for correcting tetralogy of Fallot. So please take the time to click on that link and see the information that's presented there and all of the strides that have been made in medicine from that time on forth. And don't negate the other links that I have put up there, because they will help you with further understanding in regard to leukemia, melanoma. Like I said, it's a very moving video that's posted in regard to melanoma, the things that you wish you could have said, or that you wish maybe someone had said to you when you were 16 and you were trying to be cool and tan and be the lifeguard and do all this, that, and the other. But the things that you didn't know that those ultraviolet light rays were actually doing to your body. And as I find more, of course, I will definitely post more. But it's not necessarily just to provide you with work to be busy with, but just to broaden your mind and your scope of thinking in regard to health. Not necessarily disease, but health, because we are still here on this earth, and I think it's important to preserve and safeguard your health. We're in a profession where we are geared to taking care of those that have either succumbed to disease, because think about the categories of death. Either you're succumbing to disease as a result of what? I'm listening. As a regard to pathological conditions, social and environmental factors, or as a result of degenerative diseases. So whenever I find information that I feel can enhance us in some type of way, I like to post it. And pathology for funeral service is a wonderful mechanism to be able to do that. So I have done so. If you have any questions between now and your quiz for Neoplasms, which is Chapter 7, that will be on Thursday at any campus of TCC, you can go at any time. I will have it available first thing in the morning if you would like to take it. Please send me an email or see me at my office prior to that day. If you have any questions in regard to the lecture or the case study or the chapters that we will be studying after Chapter 7, which will be Chapters 8 and 9 in regard to blood and blood diseases, feel free to contact me at any time prior to that class meeting. I will update you and let you know whether or not we will actually be meeting in class for that quiz, or if we'll take it online in the testing center, and if your lecture will be in class or online. Thank you for your attention this evening. If anything is unclear, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm so thankful that my dog and my family has cooperated so that I could provide you with this information. And I look forward to seeing and talking to you in the next class. Have a wonderful Sunday evening, and I'll see you soon.